Welcome back to Gooner Fanzine TV, where we've got a little bit of a change of scene this week. We're away from our usual Galazio London, and we're at the Old Red Line in Islington. Last night we watched Arsenal versus Chelsea, a really dramatic game, and there's been a lot of talking points, so we'll get straight into all of those. I'm joined by Layth, Sergio Boy, and Dan the Man Mountney. Layth, I'll come to you first. I mean, after David Luiz's red card, it just was a really determined, gritty performance, wasn't it? I mean, I know you were really impressed and you were really happy to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, really good point there, Toby. Yeah, it was just really, really refreshing to see an Arsenal team show courage, determination, character, and a sort of will to win, refusal to be defeated. I've been sort of watching Arsenal and Chelsea since '85, and it was one of the most enjoyable performances. Obviously, we didn't get 3 points, but at the same time, it felt like a win. Loads of people said it. Dan said it as well last night as well. And it was just really, really heartening to see the progress made by an Arsenal side under Arteta. They competed for every ball. They refused to accept they were just had 10 men against a very good Chelsea side going forward. And they just kept going with two superlative goals from Martinelli and Bellerin. Dan and myself were in the pressers afterwards, basically, and Frank Lampard thought he speaks well, and he's obviously got a big history with Chelsea, and we watched him and he was a good player and everything, but I thought he was really disingenuous when he said there were two soft goals. I can understand what he's saying in terms of a right back cutting on his left and curling it past the keeper, but they weren't soft goals. They were fantastic goals from Arsenal's point of view. Martinelli basically picked the ball up on the edge of his box, ran straight through, although Kante slipped, he still had to finish, and it was just such a cool finish from an 18-year-old basically. And then obviously Bellerin's equaliser as well when we thought we were down and out 2-1 with 6 minutes to go. So it was wonderful. And I've just got to make a point about the away fans as well. Oh, yeah. As I say, sat in the press box at Stamford Bridge, you're quite near the pitch. You're behind the dugout, so you can see. We could see Arteta kicking every ball. You could see the instructions. You could see the fact that he'd sort of told Holding to warm up, and he was going to put him on for the first half. And then obviously he decided against it because he didn't want to send a negative sort of message to the team, basically. And you could see everything, and you could certainly hear the 3,000 Gooners in the away end, and it was just absolutely tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. One of my favourite away games this season, basically. One of my favourite games at Chelsea over the last 30 odd years, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, that's a really interesting point, actually. I mean, Serge, tactically, when Luiz was sent off, you'd expect a centre back to be brought on, as you said, Holding.
Yeah.
When he was sent off, what were you expecting watching that?
Well, I mean, if we go back to the Emery period, every time a substitute was made, he would stick to it. Yeah. He didn't change his mind. He didn't falter or waver. He just went, no, you're coming on. That's it. And it was quite nice to see Arteta going, actually, hold on, the momentum's with us. Martinelli's proving, because it was Martinelli that was going to come off, and they were going to do that, and then they kind of went, actually, hold on a second. It was quite nice to actually see him change his mind, keep it going the way it was. Yeah. And it was really nice to sort of see. I mean, obviously, we all know Layth, and he loves how deep our bench is. And obviously...
I'm not quite sure what you mean by that.
Anyway,
because you mentioned the other week about it was quite
strong bench,
having a strong bench.
Yeah, not deep.
Obviously, our bench isn't deep enough to really cover the 11, isn't strong enough to really make an impact on the game. So I think he actually did really well by not utilising the bench until the very end of the game when he just wanted to hold out for that 2-2, which is really quite refreshing to see. I think one of the important things you have to sort of look at with our team is we didn't start off with a favourable 11 that we would have started normally anyway. Because, Bellerin wasn't match fit really. Because, saw the 70th minute, he looked like he was kind of tuck it out and really wanted to sort of just tail it off. So it was actually quite impressive that he did get the goal when he did. Because, had it been Emery would have pulled him off earlier because he looked like he was sort of at the end of his fitness. So I think Arteta showed a huge amount of sort of ingenuity and sort of experience for a man that's not really for a man that's not really had much
Our
first
podcast
experience.
title was about his inexperience, wasn't it?
And now I think he showed a lot of experience in watching the players play. And I think what was important about him is he was managing from almost like a player's perspective, where he saw the way they were playing. They were playing together really well, strongly, with a lot of energy, a lot of impetus together. And I think he realised that actually I don't want to change this, because if I change the formation now, this could completely collapse and we could concede more.
I think he said he didn't want to send a negative message by bringing on a defender. Obviously, Granit Xhaka went in central defence. But I completely agree about not wanting to put out a negative, basically, message to the players. Because in that situation, you have to try and be positive. You can't sit back in that situation with 10 men, especially 1-0 down. You have to go and try and win the game. Basically, they only had 2 shots and scored both of them, but there was that positivity going forward, I thought. So for me, it was the right thing to do by not bringing on Holding. I thought he would, but fair play to him, he made the right call. And as you mentioned, it was kind of on the fly. He changed his mind. He did the same with Maitland-Niles and Nketiah as well late on. So yeah, it shows that Arteta's growing as a manager. Obviously, there's still so much more to come from him, but last night was just filled with so many positives. Obviously, there is still things to improve defensively. I'm sure we'll come on to Mustafi's mistake and the way we switched off for the second goal, but there's so many positive signs.
I think something you need to look into as well when you look at the squad we had, they kind of previously would have crumbled. And I think Xhaka moving into that defensive role, all of us were kind of like, okay, fine, that's a good stopgap, but surely he won't last 90 minutes. But he actually managed to do that 90 minutes fairly cohesively. I mean, it was really like Emery's last game where he put David Luiz in defensive midfield, and that kind of worked. So it feels as though like some of our players are a little bit more sort of multitasking than we actually give them credit for.
I mean, let's talk Xhaka. I mean, I think that's one of the most interesting talking points that's come out of this game, is his sort of turnaround from where he was at the end of the Emery era to come in now, and he's able to fill in. I mean, it's hard to say, but he's like a captain's performance in a lot of ways.
Rather ironically, yes.
Very good point.
So, I mean, it's really impressive to see him slot in so well. He was so disciplined, wasn't he?
Absolutely. I mean, as Dan said last week, I don't think a few of us, myself included, owed Xhaka an apology, because I thought he'd never play again for the Arsenal, basically, after the Palace game, the 2-2.
Check his temperature. He's not feeling all right.
Why have you got 16 layers on? It's not even cold.
Some people aren't blessed. Some people aren't blessed with natural layers.
I'm just fully padded here, mate. Anyway,
you walrus.
Why, thank you.
That's all right.
Anyway, back to Xhaka. Because he ironically, like you say, he did perform a bit of a captain's role last night, really. Obviously, me and Dan were talking about this on Saturday at the Sheffield United game. We've got a WhatsApp group, and we've sort of having a bit of a tactical discussion during the game. You guys were on it as well. When Xhaka kept dropping back into the back line on Saturday when Luiz went forward. And I was trying to work out whether it was 5 at the back, whether he's playing 3 centre-halves with the 2 wing-backs. And obviously, when Luiz pushed forward, it was a straight back 4. But the fact Xhaka was absolutely dropping back into the defence. So maybe, he drew on that last night. Because he was brilliant for 60-odd minutes, basically. He was absolutely fantastic. His positioning was good. He was strong in the air. He showed real character in the sort of thou shalt not pass attitude. He showed leadership as well. It was just really, really heartening to see, along with every other player, basically. But to see Xhaka do that, I mean, we all said like 2 or 3 weeks ago he was on his way to Hertha Berlin, and Hertha Berlin were 13th in the Bundesliga at the time. And he actively got his agent to basically talk about, he placed transfer stories saying he wanted to go. Arteta last night was asked, about it, and Arteta said straight away, I wanted him from day one, which shows great man management skills, great emotional intelligence from Arteta to basically put his arm around a player who was completely disgruntled, completely fed up of playing for Arsenal because of what happened. And from my point of view, I thought he should never have played again because of what he did at that Palace game in terms of sort of disgracing the captaincy. But Arteta's turned it around. He's completely rehabilitated him and he's revitalised him. Like the performance last night, it was absolutely stunning, to be fair.
Do you know what I think with Xhaka? I think he's a good leader, but he's not captain material. If not to put him or any other current player in the Arsenal squad on this kind of level, but if you look at the best Arsenal teams they've ever been, Tony Adams was the best leader, hence why he was captain. But you have people like Lee Dixon, Nigel Winterburn, people like Alan Smith who are leaders. They're not captain, but they're leaders. You need leaders around a captain. You can't just have one leader and one captain. As I say, not to put him on that level because he's not basically. But I think he is a good leader. I mean, I don't think he was. I think the captaincy was too much for him. I don't think he was cut out for it. But I think he has got that thing within him where when they're in a bit of a sticky situation, he'll step up and he'll really command the situation. He did last night.
But just to clarify, I'm not suggesting Xhaka should be considered captaincy material again. I'm not going to flip back and forth. For me, he's never going to be considered as captain again, basically.
I agree,
and I still don't think he's got a long-term future at Arsenal. Give it this summer if there's a bit of money to be spent. Potentially, they could bring in a better defensive midfielder, but that's not taking away anything he did last night, basically. So that's my disclaimer.
I think he could be a long-term. He could be a fairly valuable squad member because if we're being told that he's a real leader in the dressing room, and I think we can believe that now. And he's an on-form leader in the dressing room means a happy leader in the dressing room. That's a really positive thing to have, isn't it?
It is. But I mean, like I said last week when I said it would take a lot of time for him to earned my forgiveness. I mean, last night's performance moves a long way towards
Yeah.
that. But I think in terms of him sort of having the dressing room control, the problem is, judging by the fact, the Emery period was bad, it shows that he doesn't have the tenacity to actually keep his confidence up and to keep his positive attitude up. He's obviously as frustrated about the whole thing as everyone else is. Whilst you look at someone like Bellerin, Bellerin was always positive character throughout the bad, throughout the good, through the thin. He is the kind of management material you look at. You don't captain material. You don't look at Xhaka and think, oh, he's a sensible man that thinks happy times. When times are good, you keep it going. When times are bad, you need to G up the entire team. Xhaka wasn't doing that, whilst Bellerin has been doing that all the time.
Fair
And
point.
the only actual side point is, I don't know if you saw on Instagram, it was 367 days ago when Bellerin was injured. It was Xhaka that went down first to greet him. As soon as he scored, Xhaka was the first person that came to him yesterday after the Chelsea game. It was actually the exact same pose. So this time Bellerin was standing up instead of on the floor.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they've obviously got quite a strong bond, which does show a lot of team camaraderie together, which is obviously really helped fostering team positivity. And the result we got yesterday, you wouldn't have seen under Emery, I don't think.
Yeah, absolutely,
that is really impressive that Xhaka was the first man there, purely because if you watch celebration back, everyone else is just running around in different directions. There was no cohesion whatsoever.
Yeah, the foresight. Yeah. I mean, let's talk about the captain on the pitch that night. He's the vice captain of Arsenal, or the second captain.
One of four.
Yeah, one of four.
One of three vice captains.
Everyone's a captain. But before you go on to Bellerin, there's one thing I want to say on Xhaka, which I don't think many people notice, but I thought this was really good. There was a point after Bellerin's equaliser when Saka was keeping the ball in the corner and he was brought down for a foul or whatever, and the Chelsea crowd, there was a guy right in front of us who was shouting and effing and blinding. And Xhaka was quite close to the touchline, and I think he heard it and he turned around and he said, "Oh, come on, it's a foul." He was standing up to what was a cold of an atmosphere, basically. How many times have we seen an Arsenal player just in that atmosphere crumble, basically?
Not for a long time.
He stood up. He fought for the badge and he stood up to what he thought was right in that situation. So fair play to him.
Well, what I would say about Jack as well, I want him to do that every game now. And that level of performance that we got from the Man United game, that's the benchmark, and that's what he should be doing every game. And the character he showed last night, that's what he should be showing every game. For Sheffield United, he didn't really. I know he dropped back in defence and he did what he had to do, basically. But I want that level of consistency that he showed against Man United, and I want that level of commitment that he showed last night against Chelsea, basically.
Yeah.
If he does that...
Because the only player that's actually really done that throughout the season has been Leno. He's the only one that showed that level of consistency, that level of love for the badge, that level of let's keep going.
Definitely player of the year for me.
He's the only player in our core that has done that. So I think the players have got to look to him, and he's actually a young man himself. They've got to look at him and be like, wow, that's the level of energy and commitment we should all be showing.
Yeah, completely agree.
And Leno had a couple of good saves last night, didn't he?
There was one from Barkley. Yeah, we were saying that was
I think that moves on to my next point actually as well. Obviously, I love what happened last night. It was a fantastic rallying performance from a 10-man Arsenal. But if we've got to be honest, that Chelsea strike force was not good enough. Chelsea in days gone by would have slotted away a lot of those goals. I think the Chelsea yesterday, we were fortunate that Kepa is one of the worst keepers in the top 4 divisions. In terms of his body positioning, was shocking for that Bellerin goal. His body positioning for the Martinelli was bad. He should have done a lot more there. So we were fortunate in that respect. And I think even with 10 men, we still looked like we had 11 on the ball because Chelsea weren't as good as they should have been. I mean, yes, obviously we take heart in the game and the result we had, but we've also got to think we were fortunate because that is a dreadful Chelsea. That was a dreadful Chelsea.
I mean, drawing on my sort of experiences at Chelsea, I remember him, Kerry Dixon, going back to the 80s. He was a great centre forward for Chelsea of his era. Didier Drogba absolutely destroyed players like Philip Senderos and
I was waiting for him to come
out
of the tunnel at the end of the game and just pop one in.
yeah, it felt like it, didn't it? Yeah. But I think you might. I love in terms of just pure footballers. I do like Hudson-Odoi. I think he's a really, really great player.
Yeah.
Tammy Abrahams has surprised me in terms of his goals this season and his general play as well. But yeah, I think you're right. Certainly in terms of 2012 Chelsea or the 2004-05 Chelsea, that wasn't a patch on that. No. But having said that, there was still half decent side, weren't they? And it was a London derby.
But, they had a man on us the entire, pretty much the entire game, and yet it didn't even look like it. They weren't taking their chances. They were dreadful, and we were fortunate, and because also our players were making them look worse than they were because they were actually still smothering them in the middle. They were defending so well and pushed them out to the side to try and stop them going for the attacking move. But I think Kepa is genuinely a terrible keeper. So I think
you could say
there.
Chelsea have got a Kepa problem.
Yes, they do. They do.
I can understand yourself and other people.
Stop it.
Sorry.
I can understand people making that point, but obviously the main point of this performance is the response that Arsenal gave to going 10
Yeah, I mean, it's the first time we've had a response like that in a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I mean, I can't
You
imagine.
say that, Villa at home.
What, 3-2?
Yeah, down to 10 men.
Yeah, but that was such a disjointed display. It wasn't a disjointed
Yeah.
display last night.
Well, obviously, yeah.
I mean, the last performance I've seen like that, when we actually really rallied, was that FA Cup final against Hull. That was the last time the team pulled together and rallied to get a win.
True.
You know, obviously we didn't win last night, but it was the same level of responsibility, commitment, and passion that they showed, and we haven't seen that.
Big call, sir.
Oh, 6 years ago. I don't remember a performance that we've had in the last 6 years that mirrored what we showed last night.
Blimey. In terms of sort of backs to the wall, 10 men.
Yeah, like you've got. I mean,
Yeah.
Arteta said before the game, this is a game we cannot lose. We can't afford to lose this. We
Yeah.
need to take points with Chelsea. We need to get points, and I think that performance last night really showed in spades everything that Arteta wants from the team, and it is impressive. And I think for London, as London derbies go, you know, you and I are at West Ham.
That was
You
brilliant.
know, that was
best 9 minutes of the season.
I mean, that's the kind of energy we want to see in a London derby all the time. Because if we're realistic, the season as it is isn't likely for us to really get the position we want. But the London derbies mean so much more than the league positioning.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
must admit, as a fan, obviously as a club, Chelsea, as a journalist, Chelsea are a very big London club. Obviously not as big as Arsenal, but
Well, they're only 15 years old.
yeah. To be fair, what really sticks in my core is the fact they were the first London side to win the European Cup or the Champions League, which
It's easy when you spend £1 billion, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but that always gets to me. But so from a journalist point of view, you know, I've got respect for Chelsea. But as an Arsenal fan, I hate them. I hate their fans. I hate the club. I hate the ground. I hate everything about them. So you know, to get a point there was absolutely fantastic. I was so pleased last night.
Yeah, it's one of those few derbies. When I look at the team, the list of games coming out, there are 3 fixtures I look for. It's Chelsea away, Spurs at home, and United away. Those are the 3 games that mean the most to me every single season.
Yeah.
The rest of the other 35, they're great fun. As long as we beat United at Old Trafford, as long as we beat Chelsea at
Because we
Stamford
never
Bridge.
beat Old Trafford.
I know.
You've been waiting about 7 years.
Yeah.
haven't you?
2006, Adebayor,
gonna
September
say,
2006.
But they still mean the most to me. And, stopping Chelsea
No wonder
winning.
we haven't bloody won there.
And the Chelsea games in recent times have been really good as well. They've been really tense, haven't they?
Mm.
There's been a lot of tense derbies, isn't there?
Yeah, there was a 3-2 at the start of last season, actually. That was it could have ended 6-all, could have ended 10-8 or something. But yeah, it felt like it was going to be like that yesterday. But then until the sending off, and then obviously when the sending off happened, I just thought, oh, Chelsea's just going to walk away with it.
I mean, we just looked at each other and said, well, we're done here.
Yeah, we said it's going to be a long night. We're we're done. Yeah.
It was obviously
Yeah.
written in the stars because the ladies lost to Chelsea as well that weekend.
Yeah,
so
yeah, 4-1
It was
wasn't it?
obviously
Yeah.
written in the stars that
Yeah.
new clubs are going to take it this weekend.
Yeah,
But
and our
boys,
good friend Jake Cole was at
he was
Boreham
indeed.
Wood, wasn't he?
Him and Leah Williamson were there,
Yeah.
photographed together.
Yeah.
And,
Bye, Jake, if you're watching.
Leah Williamson was their Serge. I mean, considering she was playing centre half.
But Dan, let's talk about Bellerin quickly. He was. How much of a captain's performance was that? How responsible was he for that determined coming together?
I mean, at times this season, especially under Arteta, we've said of Aubameyang when he's worked hard and he scored important goals. That was a captain's performance. Got to say the same with Bellerin last night. To pop up with a goal at that stage, but to pop up with a goal like that on his weak foot from the edge of the box, superb goal. I mean, you might not notice him, like we talked about Xhaka being the leader. You might not notice Bellerin being the leader, but he stepped up in an important moment, and he's supports really good causes off the pitch, stuff like that. You know, but on the pitch, I think he really did step up last night, and it was needed. But the interesting thing is, you look at it this way: Arteta played alongside him back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to have the faith of to put a former teammate as captain says a lot of what he thinks of Bellerin.
Yeah, absolutely, and it shows he's securing himself by actually making that decision too, because he
Well, he
respects
took the armband. Well, I say took the armband off Lacazette. Lacazette was obviously captain on Saturday.
Yeah,
Gave it to Bellerin last night. Which
absolutely,
was a big call.
Yeah, for me, Bellerin should be the next Arsenal captain.
No, I
for
agree,
the,
yeah.
for the long term as well.
long-term,
That's
yeah,
long
an
term.
absolutely.
interesting debate, really. Should he have it now? Is Aubameyang?
I
I
or
would have
don't-
given him to before Banyang. Yeah.
I don't. I think don't rock the boat whilst the season's ongoing.
Yeah.
I think we need to keep the team the way it is, in terms of the way they respect each other and play with each other. If you start changing captains now, then it kind of devolves the worth of captaincy.
Yeah.
You know,
I
I think.
Unai Emery did that pretty well
Well,
by
exactly.
himself, didn't he?
I know. I think you need to try and just keep it as it is, keep stable, keep the fellas going in the cup competitions we're in before you start making any changes. The summer is when we're going to see Arteta really flex his muscles and really make a lot of changes.
Definitely.
And that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
Because, you know, since he's taken over, he's had some really hard fixtures.
Yeah.
He's come in one of our hardest runs the season had ever offer.
Well, he's had Chelsea twice and United, hasn't he? Like,
when you looked at the
tough
beginning
game
of
of
the
Leeds
season,
in the cup as well.
at the beginning of the season, you would have thought Sheffield United was being a nice, easy draw. Now you're looking at it, you're like, that's harder than United.
I know. I'm glad we got them out of the way now.
'Cause United are now not the team they once were, but Sheffield United are just an incredible team. Then Chelsea, who are also fighting and really trying to get going, and Lampard wants to put his sort of stamp on the game.
Yeah.
Arteta's come into these absolutely punching and done incredibly well.
Yeah.
And I think you can't take that away. That in the 5 games he's been in charge of, he's had United, Chelsea twice, and Sheffield United.
Yeah, Bournemouth away for his first game as well. Tough game on Boxing Day. But yeah, you're absolutely right, and not have enough time to sort of instill his real sort of philosophy of hard work, because you need time on the training ground to do that effectively. So he's basically gone in blind to do it, picking up the run of games over Christmas, and there was a real stamp of Arteta on the team
Massively.
last night, wasn't
It's
it?
so nice to watch.
He's come in. It's nothing tactical really that he's done particularly.
No, he has.
I disagree with that.
He's done a lot of technical changes.
Both, yeah.
You were saying the other week about the Pep Guardiola doing the tactical fouls.
Yeah.
If you look at the foul numbers, they were up last night as well.
Yeah.
So what he's drilled in, it has really come into effect, and they've done little tiny nibbles at the players.
Do you think it's possible to do that in such a short space of time?
Massively.
Yeah. Well, we talked about how kind of Chelsea didn't really create many chances. I think that's because of Arteta. You notice in other games, United at home is the one that springs to mind. One of the criticisms under Unai Emery was that we were conceding so many shots. But you look at United, in the second half, they dominated the ball. How many times did they threaten? How many shots did they have that really caused the problem? It was the same last night. Chelsea had most of the ball, but they scored twice. And apart from the Barkley header, I can't think of another kind of real dangerous shot that Leno had to save. It's limiting things defensively. Obviously, the mistakes are still there. We saw that last night. Of
course.
But the amount that he's done in such a short space of time is incredible.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think you need to tell
really
Xhaka twice to put a foul in. I think it's quite comfortable. If you tell him,
no wonder he convinced him to stay, and he's such a key player.
If you tell Xhaka put a bit on, he'll be like, "Oh, I was being told
Yes,
not
boss.
to." Sure
Yes,
thing,
boss.
I'm on it. I mean, next thing we'll have El Neni and Coquelin back on the boat, and we'll have him 2-foot tackles all over the midfield.
That was a midfielder nightmare.
How do you think the game would have been changed by Aubameyang's presence? Obviously, it's a bit of a what if, but going as a question for future.
Well,
Martinelli
I think it would have been. I think we would have played a very different way we did, because I think Aubameyang is 30 now.
Yeah.
He's a striker that pretty much everyone in the Premier League has watched at Arsenal and his time at Borussia Dortmund, time in Champions League, Europa League. So they've all seen him. They've all studied him. Martinelli is an unknown force, really.
Good point.
So I think a lot of these players, especially Frank Lampard, saying is he would have gone through all the attacking intent that Arsenal had to his players, and I don't think they would have had a huge amount of information on Martinelli, so they would have struggled to actually mark him out of the game. Aubameyang, they would have been a bit more efficient in marking, and he would have started with a different 11 to what he did.
It's interesting you mentioned what difference would he have made. Would he have started ahead of Martinelli? I think there's a bit of an attacking conundrum now.
Conundrum, no less.
Obviously,
Someone's been watching Countdown.
Aubameyang, yeah. We'll start doing the numbers round in a minute.
Where's Rachel Riley?
Nowhere near, because you're it. You mentioned, obviously, Aubameyang is captain, and his goals have been so important this season. So, he is someone who has to start. But then you look at Pepe, he's kind of had a bit of a turnaround in form, scored a few important goals. Lacazette, he's not scoring, but his role is something that don't think anyone else can do. The way he holds the ball up and works hard for the team. And obviously Martinelli at this point is undroppable. So who do you take out?
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a difficult situation. Obviously Arteta will have to find a way to make that work. But
4 up top. 4-2-4.
2 at the back. Two at the back, 4 midfield, 4 up top.
Marauding wing backs with Torreira and Xhaka in the middle.
There you go.
Done.
I think who would you drop, Layth, out of those?
Lacazette.
5 basically, Lacazette.
I wouldn't.
Even though I love the fact he works so hard.
I think Lacazette plays a role that people don't realise how important.
Yeah,
it
you're
is.
absolutely right.
He does drop a lot deeper, doesn't he?
He takes players out of that attacking lineup with great space. That is so important to make the goals that Aubameyang scores, and Martinelli scores, look so easy.
I completely agree. But if we have to take one out, I wouldn't take Martinelli out at the moment. I wouldn't take Pepe out either, because I think he's dangerous in his own little way at the moment.
But he looked very good last night. I mean, also one thing we're constrained by the sort of the original view of football formation, which 4-4-3 or 4-4-2. I mean,
he wants inside forwards back, doesn't he?
Look at where the way it was at Leipzig last season when they started. The starting formation was 1-1-7. All right, and they scored from an opening goal in 7 seconds.
Oh,
Please tell me that the one centre back is not Mustafi.
It was Xhaka.
Yeah.
But like, even that ridiculous thing to say, to be honest.
I think formations can be changed quite fluidly. I think as long as we can play a loose diamond with Lacazette being the bottom half of that diamond, playing in the midfield. I think the player that you kind of look at to wanted the job is probably someone like Ozil.
I've sold it. Ozil's going out. Lacazette's attacking midfield out.
It was so frustrating to get. That's a very good point,
He's
Serge.
false nine, really, isn't he?
Because it's like a game like that should be made for someone like Ozil with his quality and his technique and his silky skills, and he just didn't do it again.
Did you see what Lampard said? Lampard said Ozil was the one that was causing him the main problems, basically.
Wow.
I think because he was.
What game was he watching?
Well, I think probably because he focused tactically before the game, looking at Ozil and what he did against United, and probably set the team up for someone like Ozil without assuming the way the rest of the team played.
But you say, look at what Ozil did against United. Like, yeah, the effort is there, and that's good to see. That's been his main criticism of his time at Arsenal, basically the effort and the amount of run he puts in. But the numbers aren't there.
Yeah.
The numbers in terms of assists and goals, they're not there.
I've never been one for the numbers of Ozil. I just want to see
At all, really.
Yeah, basically.
So you're not one for the numbers, but your highest paid player.
No, yes and no. I see it more intuitively. So when he does a really good ball, you think he's done well there. I don't want to know about pre-assists and how many assists he's got from corners.
Key passes.
I want him to influence games.
Oh, shut up.
Honestly, I want him to influence games for the strength of character, allied with the great technique he's got and he's the great creativity.
Well, you're describing Bellerin there.
Yeah, basically,
you can see in a game quite easily whether Ozil's had an impact. Can't you? Really?
Well, no, because the thing is that what Ozil does, because he does it so flawlessly, you don't actually see it. People complain about his work rate. When he makes a good impact, you don't really see it.
Okay, well, do you think he impacted the game last night? No. Why?
I think this is
if you looked at his stats, do you know any stats from last night from Ozil?
No, but it's interesting. Serge mentioned this. So when he does well, it kind of goes a bit under the radar. I think that's part of his problem. Because when he does well, it goes under the radar. But when he does poorly, it's completely anonymous.
But look at that Leicester game last season, the 3-1 on that Monday night. He was superb. He had an assist for the stats fans. But I want Ozil to influence games through his force of personality allied with his great technique, basically.
I've remembered
he didn't do that last night.
I've remembered a stat that I saw earlier.
Go on.
And I want you to guess. In 17 games this season, how many goals and assists do you think he has?
No goals, no assists.
He's got 1 assist.
Yeah. What was that against? Can you remember?
I don't know.
No, there was definitely no goals.
The thing is, though, stats are always quite difficult to really get your head around. For example, Jack Wilshere's 180 games in the Premier League. He has fewer assists in his entire time in the Premier League than Trent Alexander-Arnold has this season. And
but Alexander-Arnold is an absolute freak of nature.
No, but
he's brilliant.
But the thing is, though, how important are these stats really? Because also,
but Jack Wilshere when he was fit influenced games.
That's what I'm saying about
exactly.
Ozil. You can see his impact.
And it's not always about a numbers game. It's about the quiet influence having the game. Because also, an assist is apparently obviously the last kick from the previous player before the goal scorer. However,
Mustafi got an assist.
Mustafi got an assist last night.
The thing is, though, if you look at an assist, so if you cross a ball in, and let's say someone like Lacazette takes a player out of the game, and to free the ball up, that in my eyes is an assist, because he's assisted the goal by taking the player out of the equation.
I'm sure Opta will have some sort of word for it.
Of course they would,
but that's wait till Serge takes over Opta. If you run away from the ball, that's an assist.
But that's the thing. Assist is such a difficult thing to really get your head around. Because numbers are just what.
That's really existential.
Is an assist passing the ball to the person who scores really difficult thing to get your head around?
I
just understood it in one simple sentence.
No, but you're misunderstanding the point. So, for example, like I said, if you're doing a cross and Lacazette takes the centre back out of the game, so the fly of the ball changes, so it's not impeded by that centre defender. Then why is that not counted as an assist?
I thought he's barely awake there.
Why is that not an assist?
All I'm thinking is Serge didn't take that joke very well, did he?
No, you can talk a glass eye to sleep there, Serge.
Because it frustrates me, because these statistics, these numbers, everything.
You're back in the room.
like you know the new thing. The new thing where everyone goes, well, goals created. Goals created is another piece of nonsense.
Expected goals.
Expected goals is total utter nonsense.
Yeah, I can't say.
I would have stronger words for it off camera. these things that people say, you know, like fantasy football fans,
Honestly.
that go on about, oh, you know, he's expected this amount of. Just watch the game.
That is one thing I agree with. Expected goals is
Nonsense.
the biggest load of nonsense.
But the thing is, though, a lot of these sort of football statistics don't take into heart the actual heart of the game, the soul of the game. So a player like Lacazette is a striker, but the role he's playing is more taking players out to create space.
Yeah.
That's more important than just out and out goal scoring, assisting.
Completely agree.
And you look at someone like Arteta and Pep, their change of the game is putting more fouls in. Right, so they're increasing their foul rate, but that changes the entire dynamic of the game because they're changing the changeover of possession earlier in the field, so they don't have to get the centre backs involved. So it's all in the middle of the play, which makes a much better art of the game than sort of just going, oh, he got an assist because he passed it to him in the box.
I do fundamentally agree. Yeah. I do.
It took a long time saying it.
And we finally reached a conclusion, so.
Ninthly.
Right, look, it was different. It was different. It was different in the 80s, Layth. When you were watching it through pie glasses, it was a different game.
Football was better in the
now
80s.
time to leave for Bournemouth.
Next season.
I also just want to apologise to all the commenters that said we talk over each other. We were all shouting at the same time.
Serge deserved it, to be fair.
Yeah.
Well, I think my
I love the fact you
Toby
talked
agrees
the
with
whole
me.
way through it, which is
Toby agrees with
I
me,
do.
so therefore I'm happy.
Well, and he's right as well.
Correct.
Essentially, it's what it boils down to.
Essentially.
Alright.
So what we got next,
All right,
Toby?
we will transition the conversation to David Luiz. Obviously being sent off with that penalty. What did you? I mean, I think I agree with Dan's point that he shouldn't have slid in. Essentially,
No.
Have it.
No.
Have it.
No. If
I'm someone on this channel agrees with me.
Honestly, if I was
Dan
David Luiz, I would be furious with Mustafi putting me in that position.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Basically. So what could he do? His whole thing, his whole raison d'etre is to stop the ball going in the net.
Yep.
So that's all he's thinking. He goes, you know, it's panic stations. There's a player bearing down a goal. I'm going to try and stop him.
Absolutely, but you know that Jorginho is basically going to score from the penalty spot.
I don't think that crossed his mind in that particular moment.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think a lot crosses David Luiz's mind.
No,
No, offence to him.
but he took one for the team basically by stopping the player from scoring. So if you stop a player from scoring, then you've got a chance of the penalty being missed.
The goal was going to go in because it's Jorginho.
Yeah.
But then what's he supposed to do? Just put his hands back and let him go through?
Layth,
No,
Layth,
I
hang
tweeted
on,
before the game.
hang on.
I tweeted before the game about I saw Sol Campbell's return to Spurs in 2001 at White Hart Lane, and that was vicious. The stick he got there,
Vitriol, yeah.
it bounced off Sol Campbell. He puffed his chest out and he goes, "Do you know what? I play for the Arsenal now. I don't care." Saw his return in 2010 in his second spell at Arsenal at White Hart Lane. Vicious again.
He won the
stood
double.
up to it. He was literally, you know, he just said, "Look, I'm an Arsenal man now, and I am. This is what I'm about, and I'm not going to let any abuse get to me." And that's what I wanted to see from David Luiz last night. So in a way, him doing that was fair game because he was giving his all for the cause to stop Tammy Abraham scoring a goal after he
Totally
rounded
agree.
Leno.
Totally
Basically.
agree.
Have you watched the goal back?
Yes.
Sorry, not the goal, the
Tackle.
incident.
Yeah. It's Mustafi's fault all day long, and
Yeah.
he put his
Of course.
colleague
Oh,
in
no,
that position. So
Absolutely.
anything happens after that moment is not David Luiz's fault.
clearly
And if
have
he gives a penalty away and gets sent off, so be it. He stopped him scoring.
If you watch it back, at the point when David Luiz gets to Abraham, Mustafi is literally 2 yards away from being on the line. Okay, could David
you can't
Luiz,
rely
could
on
David
Mustafi
Luiz
to
have
stop
not
the ball.
taken a step to the left and well, I know
You
could
can't
he not
rely on
taken
that.
a step to the left and shielded the ball rather than diving in.
There was no time to jockey there. There really
And there was no
wasn't.
time
there
for
wasn't.
thought. It was a millisecond decision.
Honestly, I don't blame David Luiz at all, and I'm not his biggest
But
fan at all. But I don't blame
This
him for
goes
that.
back to my frustration with officiation because this season they changed the double jeopardy rule, didn't they?
Here we go.
Oh
Right.
God.
So you know the double jeopardy rule, you can't give a penalty, a red, and a suspension at the same time.
Yeah.
And they got rid of that.
Unless you play for Arsenal.
Yeah.
Alright, so David Luiz's tackle was obviously not that strong. I don't think it was that bad. So I think the red card was actually quite harsh. I mean, obviously it's within the letter of the law.
Yeah.
But I think the letter of the law,
I've got
I
no
think is a
place
bit
for the red
soft
card.
there. I think it should have been a yellow, realistically, because I think the letter of the law is a bit too harsh. Because he had
Are you mad?
No, I don't know about that.
That should have been a yellow.
No.
because
It's a
it's
straight
double
red.
jeopardy
In
rules.
what
It's-
world
you
is
got
that
the
not
penalty
a
on
You
clear
won
the
the
goal
booze
scoring
last night.
opportunity?
No.
Were you on the booze last night?
No.
That should have been a yellow.
Well, because I think the double jeopardy rules should
Alright.
change. I think they should extend it.
If Rudiger did that to Lacazette, would you have gone, that's a yellow, that? No.
Oh, I never call for a red card.
Oh my
Did you see that clip of
Nutter.
Patrick Dever checking whether Souness was drinking water?
Yes.
I'm not sure what's in there.
Well, because you remember what tackles used to be like 20, 30 years
Oh,
ago.
I loved it.
All right,
That was
and
when the tackling and
sometimes you
tackling.
didn't even get a card.
No, yeah.
Oh, so now they've
You'd have to chop someone's leg off.
They've only
before you got a
recently
yellow card.
introduced the double jeopardy law.
Oh, but it was definitely a red card though last night.
Well, it
wasn't
was a definite pen, definitely.
Definitely
I don't
pen,
call it
definitely
that,
red
but I mean,
card.
surely double jeopardy means they should get the pen and the yellow, not a pen and a
Oh,
red.
I don't know.
I think if they want to make the game more inclusive and enjoyable for the audience to watch, make it a yellow, not a red.
It's very boring.
There's no such thing as inclusive, enjoyable at Stamford Bridge when
No,
Arsenal play away.
He's not boring. This is classic Sergio on play devil's advocate for absolutely no reason.
Yeah, he's gonna go after the podcast. Oh yeah, I was just playing devil's advocate.
His next thing's going to be Martinelli. He's terrible. Don't play him.
Sell him in the summer.
So let's talk Martinelli for a bit. Obviously, racing through on goal, incredible run, incredible fitness to get there, and then have just being able to slot it past Arrizabalaga. What did you think of his performance?
They're still peeling Kante off the centre circle as we speak.
That for me, Stuart McFarlane's obviously a really experienced photographer for Arsenal. He's been around 30, 40 years. I've known him for a while now, and he's a really good guy, brilliant photographer as well. And for me, he got picture of the season with Kante slipping. He's literally horizontal, and Martinelli's powering.
Did you see David Price's comment? He went, "Here's my picture. It's nowhere near good as Stuart's."
Brilliant, brilliant, yeah.
Stuart got it.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Honestly,
David
yeah.
Price just got it. Just on the floor with the look of sheer joy in Martinelli's face.
Honestly, yeah. Talking about Stuart McFarlane as well, he took some brilliant shots last night. There was shots at the away end as well. Bit of pyro action going on. The fans just going absolutely bonkers. And what I loved about that picture was everyone in that photo. None of them had a smartphone. Not one of them.
They're
They were
enjoying
all,
the moment.
All joining the moment and enjoying the moment as well.
Did you see the picture on Soccer Saturday with the woman that had an old disposable camera?
That's Maria.
That's Maria.
That's Maria.
Yeah,
Maria's
I
a
love
legend.
Maria, yeah,
I
yeah.
saw that.
Honestly,
that's
Maria's an absolute legend. I did.
What are the chances of still being able to buy those?
Yeah, she's obviously. Anyone who goes to Boreham Wood knows who she is. Yeah, I sat next to her once at Swindon away about '93 when Kevin Campbell got a hat trick and Wright lobbed the ball from about 40 yards. Sat next to her. She's.
What was the date of that?
Yeah, it was actually Boxing Day 1993. Funny enough. But there you
I'm going
go.
home.
But she's an absolute legend. Everyone loves her a bit. So yeah, anyone who goes to Boreham Wood knows that she follows the women passionately. She follows the youngsters passionately. She's brilliant. I've just got a story about I went to Belgrade, Red Star Belgrade a couple of years ago. I did a one-day trip with Flight Options run by Miles, who's a really good bloke. And basically, it was a long old day. It was like a 20-hour day. And I obviously reported from the press box, did the post-match pressers, and then got on a plane on the way back, basically. And I sat next to Maria, and literally, after a 20-hour day, she's singing songs on the plane. I am so tired, I'm just about to fall asleep. And she's got so much energy. I think she's 90 now. So, Maria, you're an absolute legend, seriously.
How many in-flight meals did you have?
Only about 4.
That's just one less than at Stamford Bridge last
yeah,
night.
yeah.
In the
I had them
region of 4.
intravenously. Yeah.
Plus or minus 4.
Yeah.
But Martinelli, what impact do you think he had up top in the general performance?
Oh,
Obviously, that
huge,
goal was fantastic,
huge.
but tactically, what impact does he have?
Like I said earlier, he is an unknown sort of interloper for
Do
any
you think
opposition.
that's the main thing, though?
Well, no,
Do you
because
think-
he is rapid.
Yeah.
I know Layth doesn't claim he's fast.
He is fast.
he
I'm not
is
saying he's not
fast.
fast. I'm
He's
just
still,
saying-
he's run 70 yards, but he's still not
He's
fast.
obviously got that extra yard of pace.
Although he's not as fast as Layth going to the food trolley, is he?
Yeah.
No,
No
look,
one's that
Which marks
fast.
out great players from really great players, or good players from great players. But he's not got that killer pace
He's
that
not,
will take
he's
him
not
away from
refined
everyone.
yet.
No,
I think
no.
he's got a lot ahead of him. but
Pace isn't his biggest
his-
strength.
his
Toby,
last
check
night-
his beer as well.
Last night, his speed, his determination, and also his pure just, I want to be everywhere and everywhere.
Yeah. I mean,
And he was all over that top of that field. It was unbelievable seeing him. Like, you're watching the replay, you're like, oh, how has he gone from there to there?
Yeah.
Because he's constantly moving and he's constantly looking for the next pass, the next ball, the next attack, the next corner.
Yeah.
And like the full 90 minutes, he did not stop.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, we had someone on the match reaction saying that Guendouzi's like a greyhound. Martinelli is a greyhound.
Yeah.
He runs, and I just can't believe how much he can run. He's
Yeah.
constant.
I mean, you make some really good points there. And I absolutely agree. I mean, for me, I don't think he's as fast as people make out. He's still a very pacey player, but he's got so many more qualities on top of that. He's tenacious. His technical ability is superb. He's strong in the air. He's got real physicality. He's got a great attitude, great temperament. There's so much more to come from him as well, basically. But there was a bit of light humour in in Arteta's press conference last night at Stamford Bridge, basically, when he was going, I was going to take him off. He was knackered. He actually used the word knackered.
He cramped up, didn't he?
Yeah, and then he goes like literally the second later, he's making a 60-yard run basically. So his fitness is superb for an 18-year-old too. On top of
because he's
everything
18,
else.
he's got the ability to just shrug off these
But
sort of pains.
yeah, but some 18-year-olds don't have the stamina. They might have the pace, but they don't have the stamina. And he seems to have the stamina.
But I think he looks like the build of an Arsenal player that could be with us for a long time.
Let's hope so. Let's hope they seal him down on a
Yeah,
really good long-term contract now.
Yeah.
'Cause, you know, I think we've got this bed of youngsters now that just look so impressive.
Yeah.
And just not only are they quick, they also seem to have a lot of passion for the club,
Yeah.
which I think is so important.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
Okay.
like if you look at the Arsenal youngsters we've got now, we've got Martinelli, we've got Maitland-Niles, we've got Reece Nelson, we've got Smith Rowe, we've got
Maitland Miles.
Saka,
Yeah.
we've got John
Shout out
Jules,
Glenn.
we've got everyone going down.
Absolutely.
And that's really impressive. I mean, if you look at great teams from the Premier League past, that, you know, obviously the class of '92 for Man United, everyone spoke about them. They were the incredible youngsters. Since then, they've had a couple that have eked in, like Rashford, and one before that was Ravel Morrison, and that didn't really work out.
Good
But
player, terrible
Arsenal have got Martinelli. We brought him in, and he's coming in through, and we got Bellerin, who's also a youngster, really.
Yeah.
So we've
Well,
got a
yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
young, incredibly
Still only 24.
Arsenal-oriented players.
It's interesting you
Completely
mentioned that. We were there at the kit launch in the summer. We both spoke to Eddie and Ketty, and I basically said to him, "Look at all the young players you've got. You know, yourself, Nelson, Smith Rowe, Martinelli. The list goes on, basically." I said to him, "You know, do you think you can have a golden generation? You know, do you think this group is going to take Arsenal forward and do great things?" He said, "Yeah, without shadow of a doubt, definitely."
Yeah.
I mean, this says it all. There's so much talent there. You look at the way even the senior players like Aubameyang, the praise he's given to Martinelli. I mean, the depth of talent basically is incredible. And you even go below that, people like Joel Lopez we saw in pre-season,
Yeah.
people like that. You know,
Yeah.
there's even further down from that.
Yeah,
Charlie
is it-
Pantino,
Yeah.
such a
Patino,
big,
yeah.
Matt
Yeah.
Mason,
big,
obviously.
yeah, of course, yeah, Matt, the never aging Matt Macy.
But
No, but there is such a
16-year-old
big depth
Aziz
of
as well.
talent.
Yeah. There's so many good players. there,
I think, you know, Arteta's going to really revel from that in the summer and the pre-season tour, is seeing all these youngsters playing together. And I'm genuinely fascinated to see how this is going to play out in the next sort of 2-3 years when they start to really burgeon into the first team.
Yeah.
And the Arsenal
Yeah.
youngsters, it's a very talented group, but it's not a group where you say, oh, they're absolutely going to go on to great things. But they're on the cusp of that, and they need the right
But the
manager
thing is,
above them.
we're playing more youngsters in the first 11 than we ever have done previously, really,
For a long
We
time,
had
yeah.
two 18-year-olds starting at Stamford Bridge last night.
which
Yeah.
is mental.
Says it
And
all.
the 18-year-olds linked up on Saturday for the goal as well. So,
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course, yeah.
Against Sheffield
I
United.
mean, we're
yeah.
playing more and more of them in the first 11 than we ever have previously, you know,
Which is great to see.
which is something we're not really used to. So it's a really nice system seeing, because we're so used to having established players and the occasional youngster come in. Now we've got a body of youngsters who are
Yeah.
making up the vast majority of our output.
Yeah. And fans want to see youngsters coming through because they can identify them
Yeah.
as well. And it's
The only problem is
fantastic.
that some of our youngsters have got quite difficult names to make chants out of.
Well, I'm sure the Arsenal fans will
Maitland
find a way.
Niles.
Yeah.
I'm sure people will let us know in the comments down below, won't they?
Yeah. But also, we have to kind of credit Emery for Martinelli's
Well, that's Edu.
No,
Yeah,
no,
it wasn't-
no,
it wasn't Emery,
That's
no.
Edu all
No,
day
it was,
long.
Edu.
There's a scout called Francis Kajago who's.
Oh no, not for the side of the bringing through him. I'm saying.
Emery
No.
did play
Into the
youngsters,
first
but
team,
it was
I
very disjointed,
No.
and he did throw them into the deep end, and it was almost a case of sink or swim, and you could have ruined their sort of development. So I wouldn't credit Emery as such, saying right, he had the best sort of interest of their development coming through. He did blood a few, but it was just a complete sort of haphazard scattergun approach from Emery, which characterised so much of his management
At
as
the
well.
time, we were all praising him for his use of the youngsters.
We said he used youngsters. I wouldn't say we
Yeah.
praised him, but he certainly did blood them. But that was more by luck than judgment, really.
Also, this goes back down to what we discussed in the transfer video we did last week about the setup of the board and the team and who controls what.
Yeah.
So I think we can't put everything down to Emery and all
Oh,
the
no.
boards.
Yeah.
So I think it's hard to praise anyone. Just praise the players themselves for playing the way they do.
Yeah.
And
So-
I think that performance last night from Martinelli was something you definitely put on the corkboard as well done.
Yeah,
The boy
definitely,
wonder.
definitely. Yeah,
The
yeah.
boy wonder.
Just talking about Emery, wasn't there someone on Twitter last night? Didn't he go out for a meal with someone and he praised
David
the table?
Villa, and he praised
Didn't
the
he
tablecloth.
praised the tablecloth. I swear that was right. And Google Translate said he praised the tablecloth anyway. But check his Twitter
And
account.
Google Translate is always right, as
yeah,
we know.
Yeah.
I'll have to check his Twitter because I think I know it means something different in Spanish. But
But he said wonderful company, wonderful
Wonderful football, wonderful tablecloth.
tablecloth. That was it. Yeah.
oh, no, you
seriously.
take it out of context. In Spanish, it means like wonderful spread. It means like a wonderful spread of joy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll let him off.
I love
£40 million bid submitted for tablecloth.
Turns out
It's like, mate, put him on loan for a season though first.
he's a massive fan of Egyptian cotton linen. Like, he loves it. Oh,
that was the next line of the translation.
Anyway.
Anyway.
In the next game,
Tablecloths.
Enough tablecloth chatter.
in the next game, it's Bournemouth in the FA Cup.
Yes.
Important to get a win in this one, isn't it? It's really important.
It's important for lots of reasons, not least because we don't want a replay.
Yeah,
I was at Colney the other week and Arteta was asked what's going to happen if there's a replay, because obviously the 8th of February, the weekend of the 8th of February, is when Arsenal don't have a game. So that's effectively their mid-season
That's our break. That's our winter break, yeah.
Absolutely. And if there's a replay, it'll be on. They'll probably put it on a Tuesday. But if they're looking to fly straight after Burnley, which is the 2nd or 3rd of February, some of them have to come back, or they'll have to delay it for 2 or 3 days, basically. And that's 2 or 3.
Dubai, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they are. He talked about security concerns,
Yeah,
but you know, I'm sure they will go somewhere hot in the Middle East, basically. But yeah, but he was basically saying, look, we'll have to come back. So you know, we don't want that to happen. So for lots of reasons, as you say, we need to beat Bournemouth on Monday night. I think they will. I mean, they obviously had a good result against who they beat? Was it they beat Watford 3-0 the other day, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then last night they beat
No, it was
beat
last night.
Brighton. They beat Brighton last night, didn't they?
Well, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's typical, isn't it? I mean, the team who get in the FA Cup, they go 7 games without a win, and then the one game before they play Arsenal, they finally get a win.
I
mean, just our luck, innit?
Dan Bournemouth probably saying the same thing. Just our luck. Really against an Arsenal team that lost every game, and they got 2 draws and a win.
Well, you've still only got 2 wins out of 16.
But I think this Bournemouth game is actually quite well timed, because obviously Arteta's first game was Bournemouth, so I think him coming back to face Bournemouth again, I was in a bit of time with the squad.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be kind of reveling to this, be like, because also obviously all of us were talking about Eddie Howe as a possible
I love Eddie Howe.
opportunity for Arsenal manager. I think Arteta's going to want to bury him and be like, no, this is mine. Stay away from my squad.
But also
It's
it's a good game to have, because it means the last game of Aubameyang's 3-match ban is going to be potentially a game that Aubameyang wouldn't have played anyway.
Exactly.
So
I think he would have.
do you think Arteta would have played him on a Monday night down at Bournemouth in the 4th round of the Cup?
Yeah, because he wants to win the FA Cup.
Cup games
Yeah, well, I mean,
But you can still win the FA Cup without playing
I was
Aubameyang.
going to ask. I mean,
You reckon?
Yeah, if he hadn't had the match ban, he would have played against Sheffield United. Obviously, played against Chelsea. I think he would have rested him against Bournemouth.
I'm not sure
Do
personally.
you think? What would
I
he have played all 3 games?
I think I agree with Layth.
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
I think you're wrong, Dan.
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, he didn't play against Leeds, but look at the team he played against Leeds.
Yeah,
Ozil played, Pepe played,
yeah, Dan,
Lacazette
you're wrong.
played.
It was
You're
a strong
wrong.
side.
You're wrong,
He can
Dan.
still feel a strong side against Bournemouth.
I can see a vengeance coming from you, Serge. Burton Ernie's broken up.
I was going to ask individually, what do you want Arsenal and Arteta to prioritise this
Cups.
season?
Cups, 100% cups.
Yeah, we want both cups.
Well,
So
I want to put it as the league. Go on.
we're 10 points off 4th place.
yeah,
You know,
Layth,
that's
That's
not.
not an argument to go
do
for.
you remember when the 3 of us were in?
Where's this going?
Do you remember when we were
I
in
just want to
the?
avoid relegation.
Do you
really.
remember when we were in the car, Layth, and we were driving back? I think it was from Liverpool,
Right.
and we were listening to a certain radio channel, and there was a caller saying he would rather see his team
I
get
forgot
fourth
about this.
than win the league.
Oh,
No,
right?
But they do great hats, don't they?
yeah. No,
I think
I'm
we
getting
need to-
misquoted here. No. I want us to aim for the Champions League, but obviously I want us to win silverware in terms of.
Okay.
The best
Well,
way-
That was the second
Layth,
part of my sentence.
Here's a really good idea. Win the Europa League, and then you get Champions League football and a trophy.
Yeah,
It's the best of both worlds.
absolutely. Yeah, we said that last season as well, didn't we?
We did. We got to the
That
final.
that never
But
happened.
looking at the top 4 opposition, do you think Arsenal in a race with them this season? If they
No,
went
I
all in
think
for top 4,
Leicester
could
seem
get
to be
there?
Chelsea
slipping
are
now.
struggling.
Chelsea are
United are
struggling.
struggling.
Yeah.
I think Sheffield are looking good. Wolves are doing.
So I
the-
just said this
Wolves-
last week. Don't want to anger the Sheffield United fans. Sheffield United, not just
Sorry,
Sheffield.
the Blades.
Yeah.
You
Will
got the
they
Blades. You got the Tigers.
Will they keep Tigers? The whole
Whatever.
city.
Sorry, Wolves.
Wolves. What Wolves? The Wolves
Sorry.
of Wolves.
Wrong apex predator.
Thank you.
Hunting
Hull
packs.
City rise from the Championship to take Arsenal's top 4 spot.
No, I mean,
Kind of on the up, mate. Careful.
you got Liverpool, City,
Seen it at its
Leicester, Chelsea, Wolves, Sheffield United. I think will really. I mean, United are vaguely going to stop us getting those top 4 dreams. So I think realistically, we have to focus on the cup to have any chance of Champions League next season.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. But at the same time, we got 2 wins out of 16. So if you look at it one way, that's terrible. But on the other way, we've lost 1 in 7 since Arteta's been in charge.
Yeah.
We're due a few wins in the Premier League. If
course
we can
we are.
string 4, 5, 6 wins
Layth,
together,
if
who knows?
We've got the same
Fourth
number.
place.
We've got the same number of draws we had in the Invincible season.
All
we need is
Yeah,
20
yeah.
wins out of the next 14
Yeah, exactly.
games.
I think we've lost 6.
Simple maths.
Yeah, we've lost 6, but we've only won 6, haven't we? We've drawn
Yeah.
about 12, 13.
If we are going to get in the top 4, we need to start getting the points together sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Purely because if you look at the back
Start-
end of the season, we've got a run of 3 games. I think we've got
Yes.
Tottenham, City,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Liverpool all in a row.
But Simon Rose, who writes for the Gooner Fanzine, which is here, pick it up at all good sellers around Arsenal Tube and the Ken Fry Bridge. But he made a really, really good point on the online Gooner. Basically said Liverpool's 50th, potentially 50th unbeaten match is against Arsenal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we'll stop them. We'll stop them.
And obviously if they haven't lost
That's
any
when,
league
that's when
games as
Shaggy's
well.
going to get a red carpet and a 2-foot tackle to Salah's face.
So we can literally,
Stop
keep
them.
our Invincibles title, and obviously keep the fact that we were 49 games unbeaten as well.
Huge game.
So yeah,
It is
I think there's 2 or 3 games to go at the end of the season. That will be massive.
Do you know what that's going to make for us?
What?
Good content.
Tune into Good Fantasy TV across that game.
And all the others.
I do think getting top 4 is almost a better sign of progress for Arsenal.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
think always
yeah,
aim
yeah.
for it. Always aim for it. But I think if we're realistic, the cup games are what we want.
Yeah.
Because also the cup is the more attainable goal. We've won the FA Cup more than any other team.
Yeah.
You know, we've got a preferential draw in it in terms of some of the people out there. Europa League, we got to the final last year. I think, we got to the semi-final the year before. I think
Let's go one
That's
better.
the thing that I'm saying is I think
why
a
not?
Europa League win and an FA Cup win isn't as much of a sign of progress as returning to the top 4.
No, right.
But
right,
mind you,
right.
if we won both of those, I'd be very happy.
Let me put it this way.
Yeah.
Would you rather see Arsenal? Who's the final game of the season? Watford. Okay. Either way, the points still stand.
Some
Would
generic
Would you rather
Northern
see them
team.
celebrating getting in the top 4, or see them lifting a trophy
Trophy,
on the
all
pitch
day
at
long.
Wembley, or see them
But
lifting the trophy
trophy.
in
Here's
Cannes for
one.
the Europa League?
Top 4 or lifting a trophy. So basically,
Lifting a trophy
Lifting a trophy.
any day of the week.
Yeah.
Every day of the week.
Any day of the week.
Also,
yes.
Well, wait,
Quiz
wait,
question.
Okay, yeah.
Quiz
yeah.
question.
I was playing devil's
Where
advocate
were
then,
you
yeah.
going with that?
No, I was just going to
Also,
say whether you
Layth,
want to finish top 4 or
here's
win
a-
a trophy.
here's a quiz
'Cause I used
question
to
for you,
ask people
Layth.
that.
Wait, so you'd
Speaking of
rather win
trophies-
the FA Cup
Go
than
on.
just
In
completely get rid of
1991, when we actually did win the league,
Yeah, I went
obviously
to most
we were
games that
sponsored by
season.
Barclays.
Right.
We were the only team to have ever actually been given a separate Barclays actual mini trophy.
What, in 91?
Yeah, because they actually stopped doing it
Stats.
after that because they were like, actually, it's kind of pointless.
think
We'll
my
just stick with
points
the
are
one
a lot better.
Oh, is
trophy.
that right? There you go. I didn't
Right,
know.
Toby, go on.
Random useless fact for you.
Thank you, sir.
So,
Thank
I
you.
mean, you're saying a trophy. Would you rather win the FA Cup than get Champions League
What
qualification?
Europa
what
League.
what do we rip into Tottenham for not having?
A trophy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, but Arsenal
We
have
don't
lots of
rip
trophies
into
and
Tottenham for
Arsenal have
going.
lots
Oh,
of
you've
FA
not
Cups.
finished in the top 4 this many years. So you've not won any trophies.
But what's more
Fine.
important to Arsenal?
A trophy.
Is it
You don't
though?
think- you don't- I don't think it
I
is.
don't know
I
anymore.
think it is.
I'm confusing
I
myself.
think
Because
getting
obviously
back
if
to Champions League football.
Champions
is
League
really
football
important.
will mean more money, more revenues.
And also,
But the
it's
glory of
also-
the game, obviously, you want silverware. I
Well,
don't know.
That's why when
I
you
Modern
go
football
back
is
to my
so-
point.
Modern
Here's
football
the-
is so
win the
confused
Europa
me. I
League,
don't
we
even
get
know.
both.
Yeah. Well, let's win the Europa
Exactly.
League then.
There
yeah,
you
yeah,
go.
let's-
Problem
Win the Europa
solved.
League.
Let's
You
do
can
it,
have
yeah.
the best of
Problem
both
solved,
worlds.
yeah.
Olympiacos, we're coming for you.
We'll be in Gdansk on the 27th of May.
Yeah.
We'll
For
win
about
that trophy.
16 days as well, probably.
Yeah, and I think also, I mean, we can have a quick chat about Aubameyang's future. I think he's going to really want Arsenal to secure Champions League football. For him
Well, I
to
think his
stay.
agent wants it as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as
I
well.
think that's a
yeah.
hugely
Yeah.
important
Money
thing.
talks.
Because obviously, if you look at the Deloitte Money League that came out recently in the past 5 years, because Arsenal haven't been in the Champions League
Yeah.
positions, our actual revenue has actually gone down by 1.5% year on year.
Yeah.
So I think we actually do need it because that's what's affecting our sort of purchase of players, our expansion
Yeah.
plans, etc. We need to get back into
We
the
need
Champions League
Champions
spot
League
because
Yeah,
that
but
was
you say
worth
that.
silly money.
Yeah.
If you look at the Deloitte Money League, like West Ham and Everton are in the top 20, so like.
Yeah, but that just shows how much money's sloshing around in his football.
I
In
know,
terms
but
of,
what, it doesn't,
but-
doesn't mean anything.
but in
does it?
terms of our position as a money making club, we have slipped dramatically.
Well,
Read
obviously, yeah,
read
yeah.
Swiss
9
Ramble,
to
he's
11.
amazing and stuff like that.
I mean, look, I mean,
9th to 11th, that's a move we've definitely done
No,
in the
no,
league
but
this season.
we were
isn't it?
4th or 5th about 3-4
yeah.
years ago.
I mean,
so
because look, Cardiff made more money when they went down to the Championship than every team in the Bundesliga.
it's crazy,
at one
isn't it?
point.
Yeah.
Because it was the first season when we had the brand new rights came in and
Yeah.
BT Sport got involved.
Yeah.
It was the $3.2 billion deal.
Yeah,
So
which
we've
is
obviously
crazy.
dropped down in the rankings of money since then. So we need to get back into the Champions League to get the money so we can start doing transfers, start buying the centre backs that we want, rather than relying on Mustafi and David Luiz.
Yeah.
Basically.
The Chuckle Brothers.
That was actually-
Realistically,
that
we
was
don't
act-
want to
Yeah.
rely on those two for the next 5 years. The next we don't even want to rely on the next 5 months.
We're going to have to.
Brutal,
We're gonna have to.
brutal.
We didn't really touch on. Obviously, you talked about Mustafi and the player ratings and match reaction, but he did a little letter to Arsenal fans on the Arsenal website.
It was Mustafi in his own words,
yeah,
which
in his
summed
own
it
words.
up.
What did you think of that? I mean, your reactions to that?
Do you know what? I understand the whole thing about, it's not nice being criticised, and mental health is such a big and important thing now, and it's abusing a player isn't right. But
Of course not.
if you're going to keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again, I mean, it's going to happen. It's part and
own up to
parcel of
your
being a football
mistakes.
player.
Own up to your own mistakes and say,
Yeah.
I did bad. That was my
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for cocking up
It's
like
hard
that.
for us to sort of imagine how difficult it actually is. I mean, how...
Not really. We
How
make
di- how
all of us
difficult-
make
but-
mistakes in our
Oh,
jobs
no,
all the
but
time.
absolutely, but how
Yeah.
difficult is it to avoid the criticism online?
But
He
there's
seems
got to be a
to-
differentiation between abuse
Oh,
and
yeah,
criticism.
yeah.
Yes, I agree.
And none of us condone abuse at all. But surely we're allowed to criticise someone who's done really badly over a consistent right word, something making mistakes. Maybe it is, but over a consistent period of time, he's just not good enough on so many levels. And any fan can see that. Any Arsenal fan can see that, and other fans as well. Is highlighting those mistakes abuse or criticism? And, and if he sees it as valid criticism, then why does he never act on it?
Defenders have to remember, and players have to remember, they are a commodity. They are always the price tag that they cost. Mustafi's a £35 million player. He will always be a £35 million player. Right? That's why when you look at players that are cheap and young, you never really get annoyed with them. All the slating is always Ozil, 350 grand a week player. Pepe, 72 million player. That's what all the headlines always are, because they are their price tag. They have to just admit that, get over it, and just show that they are worth the price tag they're given. They can't just sit there and be like, oh, but you're being mean to me. It's like, no, we're criticising you performing poorly because of the sheer weight of your cost. If you were £1 million, like no one really gets up in Holding's grill, because he was what, 2 million for minimum.
Well, as Arsene Wenger said, I'm sorry, he's not a £50 million player.
Exactly.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
said
Have
that
you
at
noticed
Leicester a couple of years
Mustafi
ago.
started
He was there and said it.
blocking comments on his social media?
Yes.
Yeah.
How do you know? Is he
'Cause
blocking you? Is it?
No.
Are you blocked by Mustafi? What did you say to him?
Sorry.
Did you
You've
ask him
been
for a signed
rude on social
autograph?
media again.
No, if you click onto his tweets, it pops up with some comments that have been blocked by this
Dan
user.
Mountney is
Yeah.
blocked
Yeah.
by
Sorry.
Mustafi.
Sorry, I won't criticise your terrible back
If you-
passes ever again.
If you didn't want to be
What about his underwater
criticised-
swimming?
If you don't want to be criticised,
Good
you don't want to be in the
pre-season.
public space, you wouldn't become a professional football player playing in the world's biggest league in front of 1.2 billion people every week.
Yeah.
I
And
agree.
at the end of the day, if you're not performing, then you're supposed to sort of not be happy about that.
Yeah,
and he's
you
not
should be
performing.
frustrated.
He talks a good game. He really does. And, we've interviewed him, and he's a really good guy. And we
Look,
say
you
it
can't-
every week, basically. But there's got to be a point where you just learn that the mistakes you make are not acceptable over a long period of time, and you have to do something about it. And he just never does. What yesterday? It wasn't like he was really pressured into making an error. You can almost understand that. It was just really sloppy. And where does
It was
that
just
sloppiness?
lackadaisical.
Yeah, lackadaisical.
He
Absolutely.
just turned his...
Where does that come from though? It's a lack of temperament, a lack of mentality.
Yeah. You put it in the email the other week to the Gooner Fanzine subscribers. You had the quote from Arteta saying, if you turn up for 2 seconds or 5 seconds, it doesn't matter. You can't do that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Mustafi did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. Good point.
So he needs to focus all the time, 100% of the time.
Yeah.
That's what Arteta wants.
And
if he
why
doesn't do
doesn't
that,
he? It's
Well,
been 3 or 4 years. You're absolutely right, Sergio. I completely agree.
because it's a twofold thing. One, he probably hasn't started enough first team football for a while.
That's not an excuse.
Because he was in
That's not an excuse.
he was in Europa League prison for years under Emery, wasn't he?
Well, I suppose he's played 2 games in a row now.
But he's
and-
been
That's
given
not
a
an
huge-
excuse.
And
That's
played a lot
not
of
an
cup games.
excuse. I'm
Well,
sorry.
look, he's not playing to the way we want to. He has to go. And I'll
And
be
he's-
sad
but
to
he's
see
been-
my Mustafi pin no longer be on the table anymore. I'm sorry to see him go, because I did like him when
Well,
he first
Emery's
signed.
still sticking around. Mustafi's got a chance.
Well, that's because they haven't released an Arteta scarf yet, have they?
The thing is, he's been given a huge second chance by Arteta, and he hasn't taken it, has he?
No.
He's been,
I mean, I disagree with that. I mean, he's been given a huge second chance by the
In the
number
Premier
of
League.
injuries.
Oh well.
Mm.
Yeah, however-
Chambers is out.
however
Socrates
it's
is
not-
ill.
yeah.
Holding's not fully fit.
But he
I mean,
still has a
he's in-
chance.
he's-
still had a
yeah, but
second
he's in
chance.
there because there are no other options.
For whatever
But then
reason,
grab
he's been
it with
starting
both
in the
hands.
Premier
He
League.
is not
Yeah,
going
hasn't
Who
he?
are we talking about?
Yeah,
There
exactly.
you go.
He's not going to go down in the annals of Arsenal history.
Yes, he is.
As a good player.
Yeah, in the bad
Infamy.
parts of the history.
No,
Yeah.
but
Are we
no
going
one
to
keeps
be?
it
Are we
bad
going to be
annals.
talking about him in the worst 11 at the end of this decade?
Definitely.
No, I don't.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No. I
No.
I
Who's going to be worse?
Yeah, I'm a bit worried about that. Then.
Serge
No.
can see the future.
because I just think we just forget about this sorry
Doom and gloom,
chapter.
Serge. Grumpy Serge.
Grumpy Serge.
Well, someone's got to be
Absence of
grumpy.
Glenn,
It's like Glenn
yeah.
with a hat and a beard. And no nose.
Glenn from the 80s.
Oh yeah, I'm the only non-bearded one in this one.
And it will be for a while, Toby.
Yeah, keep trying, my friend.
Yeah.
You have your one shave a month.
Unfortunately, we have no Glenn's notes this week. We're sorely missing it.
Yeah. So we'll be at Bournemouth for Monday, won't
We
we?
will
So,
be.
yeah.
Is there any other topics you want to touch on? Have you got any
What kind of
other-
fish and chips are you having at Bournemouth? Cod?
All of them.
Bass?
He's having the
Which
Stone
one?
bass?
One of each, please.
chips and
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the gravy.
All of
No,
it.
no,
Yeah.
no, no.
Yeah.
Fish and chips got to be with mushy peas and a pickled egg.
Pickled
egg.
Oh,
No, you're not having
yes.
scraps.
Oh, no.
How much sauce do you have on fish and chips?
None.
Please tell me.
Lots.
You have vinegar,
Oh.
lemon and salt.
He basically asked for some fish with his sauce.
Bit of
Every time.
tartar sauce is acceptable, and that's the only sauce that is acceptable on fish and chips.
We've got to go on Bournemouth seafront or whatever and just go and
Of
get
course
some
we are.
chips, haven't we? So,
Yeah.
That's going to be
Well,
freezing.
we'll be on the seafront doing our video with the three of us and Rosie because
Yeah,
Toby's
Rosie.
unavailable for selection.
I'm not-
See you soon, Rosie.
Yeah. Rosie's
So-
coming down to Bournemouth for
Return
Monday.
of
so-
Rosie.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope she's got over her concussions from Anfield away.
I'm being terrified by Kolasinac straight in her face.
To be fair, I
think all
would be
of
as
us would
well.
be.
Yeah.
It was like
Check
waking
back
up to Layth in Liège.
Check back on our post Liverpool away.
That noise was late.
Honestly, and on that bombshell.
It's devolved once again.
As always. Welcome to Gooner Fanzine TV.
Yeah, I am gutted we've got no Glenn talking about, what was it, checkout machines
Frozen.
and
Frozen.
Frozen. But that'll be back next week, hopefully.
Honestly.
We'll track
Yeah.
Glenn
Is
down
there
again.
anything frustrating we can do to cover up Glenn's lack of notes? Is there anything just like
Is there
really,
anything triggering you
really
this week?
obtuse that triggers
I'm
me?
sure you can give us another nonsense opinion on something, Serge. Go on.
Just not
Football
stats,
fans, I
please.
think they're football managers.
Yes.
Right, that annoyed me this week.
There we go.
All right.
We were talking about this earlier, weren't we?
When you're in the football stands and you're watching the game, it's all well and good getting involved in it and enjoying it. All right. When you're in the upper tier or club level, wherever you are, shouting "pass it left," he's not going to hear you. Stop shouting it. Just watch the game and enjoy it. Don't be a moron.
Well, then, hang on. Do we not need more organisation? We don't need someone leading the entire stadium to, on three, shout, pass it left.
And also to play a devil's
One or
advocate.
t'other. One or t'other.
To play devil's advocate. What about if you played football all your life and you're so conditioned to going,
Well, they do what Glenn Tamplin did and manage Romford FC. Don't come to watch the Arsenal in the
What-
stands.
That's an area where I'm not willing to go.
Yeah, Billericay not to. I mean,
Burkamp in the Stour.
No. If you're a football fan, honestly, my pet peeve is someone goes, switch
Yeah.
it, switch it, switch it. It's like,
Oh.
oh, no, you know what he was going to do? He was going to run it into the touchline
Oh.
and just give possession. Of course he was going to switch it.
I li-
Stop shouting it.
I like the managers use your fingers like this.
Oh, yeah.
That was a bit of a mime there. So.
Yeah, it was. No.
For all our radio viewers.
Fantastic impression.
How do you know I wasn't?
Uh,
With
So
that
that-
light, to be fair.
that was my Glenn-alike ramp. That was
Ramp?
Ramp.
No, rant.
Serge has a ramp. Anyway,
just-
and on that bombshell.
Anyway,
Anyway.
thank you very much for watching this Gooner Fanzine TV podcast. That was a good chat, boys. If
Keeping
you
up, Serge.
Oh, checking the scores.
completely
Honestly.
unnecessary. We're about to film Up for Grabs, so you can catch the last few episodes and the most recent episode on Friday if Sergio Boy edits it in time. We will see.
And transfers.
And transfers, we're going to do a transfer video now. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh.
That was not.